Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
Seasons change, and war is on the horizon as the next chapter in our beloved franchise gives its first real peek. So welcome back for episode 146 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is our man on the street, known as Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
Yo, hello, and
Yo.
welcome everyone to the show.
The well-traveled man, back in his abode, ready to rock, ready to roll.
I've been traveling a lot recently.
And it's for a good cause, at least part of it. And we're gonna talk a lot about this today because we have a big show today. A lot going on in the Warcraft universe, and Jez, you were right at the epicenter of a whole bunch of it. And I just kind of want to say off the top, this was almost a mini rage topic. I appreciate that Blizzard dropped all of this stuff, all of these interviews, and you were part of this, Jez, and this embargo lifted, and all these things were going on right during a stretch when I was having days full of meetings and couldn't see shit. And you start to panic a little bit when you say, oh my God, there's all this news and it's coming fast and there's all this stuff. Like, everybody just take a collective breath. Like, you don't have to digest all of this at once. And we're going to try to make this manageable on this first foray because we've got a ways to go. Don't feel bad if you didn't get alpha access. And I know this as somebody who sat at the Amstel light table for many years and was like, look at the VIP Crystal table over there and look at these fuckers with their alpha access. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's cool. It's fun to be in that group, but you'll get there. You will get there. You will see all this stuff too, and it won't even be that long from now. So please, if you did not get in, do not feel bad. Sign up for all the betas, do all that stuff. It will be fine. So, big show. Got a lot to talk about. But first, Jez, I got a surprise topic for you that I did not brief you on.
Oh, snap.
Agenda.
Oh, snap.
I want to know, because we were talking about this, I want to know how you felt about Night 2 of WrestleMania 40.
Oh my God. Well, unfortunately, I can't answer that because I still haven't watched it yet.
Ah!
Has I ever watched it yet? I've been so busy. I've been traveling, been working hard, and then, all this Warcraft stuff kicking off, and also off topic, but it's been Fallout mania in the game journalism space. So I've been playing Fallout 76 again. So yeah, I just haven't been able to fit it in. I've been watching the Fallout show instead. I will come back to it.
Which is legitimately great.
It's amazing. It's so.
And I don't know shit about
so
Fallout.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so perfect. Like, as someone who is a fan of Fallout, like, it's perfect as a fan. But like, my girlfriend isn't a gamer and she loves it too. So they've really threaded that needle between, bringing on new people who are not into Fallout, also non-gamers who are not into it at all, and then also hardcore fans of the franchise too. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But we're not here to talk about Fallout. We're talking about video World of Warcraft. Video
Yeah,
World of
not
Warcraft?
even WrestleMania, but for those of you that know, Night 2 was holy shit. So
I've heard good things.
I'm just gonna leave it there. We'll catch up on it at a later episode. So instead, let's jump into our metal album of the week. And I've been saving this one. People that know me, the homie Rommel especially, may have been surprised that it took this long to get to this one. But I wanted to wait for something epic. Something, one of the big ones. One of the big episodes that we got a lot of cool stuff and something new. And so I bring to you one of the seminal albums in their entire discography, Gods of War by the band Manowar. This is, in my opinion, the greatest concept album of all time, where essentially it is centered on the story of Odin, king of the gods, and the greater Norse mythology. And from start to finish, it's metal, it's opera, it's symphonic, it's just this whole blast of everything that's great. And it came out in 2007, February of 2007. I listened to this on repeat when the Wrath era was hot and heavy. And there's something about Man of War, Gods of War, and Storm Peaks all together. It's just like this great special vibe in my brain that I always hit. So with the War Within hitting its alpha phase, and finally, we're getting into that new chapter, that next chapter, I had to unleash this one, and there's some great songs in it, but the number one song, the greatest song of all time, and if you listen to it, you'll know why it's me saying this, is The Sons of Odin, where talks about the Sons of Odin, this whole thing, and it's just a great riff all the way through. But at the end, talks about being overcome by berserker rage, and that was where that was a little thing that got lodged deep in my brain. So when the moniker berserker was something I was using and having to come up with things, and like berserker rage, it's not exclusive to this song, but just that concept was lodged very deep. And so I have long enjoyed this album. It's a great listen, front to back, and then there's a great bonus song, Die for Metal, where they talk about protecting the honor of metal at all costs and all these things. And it is ridiculous, admittedly, but it's wonderful. So Jez, do you have any passing familiarity with even Manowar as a band?
I do not, actually. I know of them.
Okay.
I think one of my friends is into them, but I haven't really listened to them, so I will put that on my list. They
are a power metal foundation.
I get you. I'm not usually into that kind of metal, but I'll still give it a chance. I was listening to Deftones when I was traveling a lot.
Oh.
I don't know how you feel about the old Deftones, and I know some people don't consider them to be real metal or whatever. I think some people call it
local band.
Oh, really? Oh, That's cool. So yeah, I was listening to the latest album, Ohms, I think it's called, because I hadn't really checked it out. Again, it's one of them in the backlog, like WrestleMania Part Day 2 in the backlog. So I when I'm traveling, sometimes I use it to catch up on shows. Like I watched Cyberpunk Edge Run as well. I was traveling for the first time recently. I was listening to Deftones Ohms because that came out a few years ago, and I hadn't really given it a proper listen, but it's very, very good. But I'll check out Man of War for sure.
The other album I might suggest as a sub B to this is Warriors of the World, which also is a phenomenal album. Call to Arms, great song. There's all kinds of good stuff out there. Very, it's very bro macho shit, but it's don't take it too seriously is what I would say. It's fun, it's a good ride, pump you up, you're getting ready to run through a brick wall. Good shit. So and yes, if you think it's metal, if it gets you into metal, then it's metal. You know, I think there's a lot of gatekeeping in the metal community, and I have been guilty of this in the past. But I think that if you listen to something, and even if it's on the periphery, right, of the metal family tree, which is far and wide, you're in. We're all in it. We're all in it together. We gotta
remember when I was a kid and people used to argue over whether Linkin Park was metal or not.
Yes, I think that still goes on today.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. The answer is, does it really matter as long as you enjoy it? That's the main thing.
That is 100%. So there is your metal album of the week, Gods of War by Manowar, one of my favorites, and hope you enjoy it. And believe it or not, Jez, I have a kind of a related rage topic for this week, and something that even if you don't feel as passionately as I do about it, there may be a wider issue at play that you may also share. So why don't we go ahead and jump into the rage portion of the show? Let's rage. Let's talk about something that is a topic that is widely debated amongst the community as to its merits, either good or bad. But something that for me was distilled very finely into this one specific point. Transactions, microtransactions that we have, lots of them in the store. And there's been something I, due to data mining, have kind of been keeping my eye on. And lo and behold, at the start of this month, I thought it was a great April Fool's joke, and I even said so on Twitter, because why would they do this to me? But it is true that the Gladiator's ragged armor, the armor worn by the Gladiator Logosh himself, we know as the great Varian Wryn, has been available for sale for $20 on the store. Now,
yes.
I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a whore for a lot of this stuff. I will absolutely just do whatever it takes to get some of these things. And when I looked at this, and I'm sure a lot of people saw this, were like, "Oh, Berserker, all over that." And I think even momentarily I thought, I'll plunk $20 down for that. But Jez, I have abstained. I have refrained. I will not be purchasing this.
Oh, damn.
Out of spite. I am finally on the anti-microtransaction train, because I can't believe that they would keep this from me for $20 whole. You know what I can get for $20? I don't even know what I can get for $20. I could get this for $20, but I am not paying $20 for something that they admittedly say will be in the trading post at some point in the future.
Yeah, the fact that it's going to be the trading, I mean, at least they're transparent about that, right?
At least they are transparent about that. But of all the sets that they give away, and we are going to do some April trading post ratings later, of all the sets that they make available, I cannot believe the one that I wanted was the one that they are keeping from me at a cost. It's unbelievable. How could they do this to me, Jez?
I don't know. I think they listened to the show and they thought that'd be funny for a rage segment. Let's whack it in there. So maybe
they got it.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches. Can't believe this. Never gonna play this game again.
That's not true.
And other empty threats. Where do you stand on the whole store and microtransactions? Do you care? Does this make a difference to you at all, or is it just
it kind of sucks, right? Because I want to be someone who's in tune with the community, right? I write about games, and I'm acutely aware of that. Game journalists are maligned in some quarters of the internet. So my instinct would be to join the hate train and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, as I've gotten deeper into the world of, learning how all this stuff works and discovering how the sausage works, I'm a little bit more sympathetic to this kind of stuff recently. And I kind of became aware that costs have gone up a lot over the last few years, but the overall gaming audience hasn't really grown. There's a lot of competition from time vacuums like TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So while costs have kept going up, so electricity costs and inflation and wages to rise in line with inflation, all that kind of stuff, all the boring stuff that no one wants to acknowledge as a thing, right? And just to be like, oh, it's just pure greed. It's pure greed. And yes, there is elements of that. But I also think there's also an element of, well, trying to get blood out of a stone, really. And they could do things like what Spotify does and put up the monthly subscription every year. And to be fair, I think they've only put up the World of Warcraft subscription a couple of times. And when adjusted for inflation, they probably should have put it up more than they have done. So instead of doing that, they've gone for microtransactions. So it's kind of like, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the increased subscription fee every year, like Netflix and YouTube? Or do you prefer optional microtransactions which you don't necessarily have to purchase? It's kind of one of them. I'd love to just be there with everyone else hating on them, but I also kind of feel like, oh man, I kind of get it. I kind of get why they're doing it, but if we want World of Warcraft to maintain the quality that it has and grow even, then they have to figure out ways to make more money, unfortunately.
So I think what I hear you saying is that by long asking for Logosh's gladiator armor, that this is my fault, that I finally convinced somebody to spend time and effort and actual human hours building this, and if I want it, I probably have to put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, maybe. I just bought some house I just bought some house plants in Fallout 76 to decorate my virtual shack, So I'm just we buy that stuff for our houses in real life, like a real life house plant, a virtual metaverse house plant. What's the difference? Some nice clothes for your avatar in World of Warcraft. How much would that, if you bought that Logosh outfit in real life, it'd probably set you back $200, not $20. So,
well,
it's technically a bargain in a way.
So you're saying that I could save money by spending money.
Exactly. And if you went to how much is Starbucks going to set you back these days? Like probably about $20,
Well,
I went to McDonald's with my girlfriend recently, and I was shocked how expensive it's gotten. And that's just McDonald's, nice Logosh costume. You get that for life. You can show that to your grandkids.
Yes, that nitro cold brew I got last week is not gonna last. It did not.
Exactly.
I think you're making a persuasive argument. Well, maybe after the show, I might find $20, in an old wallet somewhere, and I might throw that down. When it comes up on the trading post, I'll just I don't know, laugh at myself, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I didn't buy it because I'm not a huge fan of it, but.
It is very orky though. It's got like this, horde colors because he was a gladiator, right? It's all spikes and this looks like something that I don't know, Garrosh might have worn.
It does.
In that thread. So, but it's my man. I guess I got to back him up because that's all I have left of him. So, well, and his son. We'll talk about that. So, with that out of the way. We got big alpha news to talk about, and Jez, you're right in the middle of it, so let's jump into our news. One of the things I love about the dynamic of this show nowadays is there is this balance between the sort of Britishness and Americanness, the two sides that we bring together, and a parent and epitomized in no better way than right before we recorded. You're grabbing tea and I'm grabbing an energy drink. It just, there's just something about those two halves of the whole coming together that I find quite fantastic. But here we go. Alpha, War Within Alpha, it's all the rage. If you've been anywhere near the Warcraft space in any way, shape, or form over the last several days, you can't escape it. And where it really started was there was a big event in London that some folks were invited to and some other folks showed up at, and some things happened. And Jez, you were the man on the street. You were there live and in person, and there is no better person to tell us how that went down and what happened and what that was like than yourself. So if you wouldn't mind, as we sort of begin this War Within era, this alpha specifically, what was it? What was it like? And what can you tell us about it?
Well, it was my first ever Blizzard event ever, and I've been covering gaming for a long time. So
wow,
I've been doing this professionally now for 8 years, I think, something like that, 7 years. And I've done lots of cool stuff. I've done E3. I've been to Microsoft headquarters. I've been to CD Projekt Red. I've been to the Coalition in Canada. I've done a lot of really cool stuff. I've been to Rare in England for Sea of Thieves and all kinds of stuff. But I've never done a Blizzard event. So every now and then I start thinking to myself, is this it now? Have I done everything? Is my career peaked? And every now and then something new happens, something fresh, and it's like, oh no, I've still got gas in the tank. So I was very, very excited to go to a Blizzard event, and it was absolutely incredible. It's rare that I've seen this kind of money thrown at an event like this. So they're going quite hard on it. So it was in London. It was at an event centre, Victoria, in the heart of London. In this big, like, old-fashioned kind of hall, and they had huge key art for the game, which is like Varian and Illyria, Windrunner, Jaina, and Anduin, and Thrall was there, and they had the dry ice flowing through the key art, and some plastic flora, fauna knocking off, and it was really cool to come in. I was like, oh my god, because for a time I was like thinking these kind of press events were going to be a relic of the past now, because obviously during COVID none of that could happen. There was no press events, there was no travel, and then like E3 itself shut down completely. So like I was just kind of thinking like they're just going to do everything remotely now, and they're just going to focus on influencers and going direct to YouTube and stuff like that. But no, apparently we're still doing press, we're still limping on. So there was a lot of British and Western Europe press there, from all over Europe really, to come and check out the War Within, the first people outside of Blizzard to try out the alpha really. And then obviously they gave access to other influencers remotely. I've seen some people like Kalamazi and Touchpad Warrior have been playing the alpha as well, and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of people there all over the world checking out the War Within during this event. And so they had like all these, PC stations set up so we could go and play and sit down with Horde and Alliance chairs from Secret Lab, which are very nice. That's not a plug, by the way, although they are good chairs. I'm sitting on one right now. Oh, it's a Minecraft chair, not a Warcraft chair, but the Warcraft chairs are very, very nice, if pricey. But and then we sat down, and Holly Longdale and Maria Hamilton came out onto the stage and said welcome to the event. And we've got a message from Eon Hazakostas, and the Tina, the art director, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Is it Tina? Can't remember. But anyway, the video for that talk is now up on YouTube, I believe. At least parts of it is. But yeah, so they were talking about the vision for The War Within, and then we got some group interviews, and then we played The War Within alpha for a while, and then I did a one-on-one interview with Maria, and a group interview with Holly Longdale, talked about all kinds of things. Some of those interviews will come out next week on windowscentral.com, but we can talk about them here as well, which is, all good. And yeah, it was an amazing time. And also, I took some pictures with a replica of Varian Sword, Charlemagne.
You did not.
I did. The pictures that will never see the light of day, I might add.
I have got this. Come on, you got to show at least me. I mean, I'll burn it after. But that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, they had a huge replica of Charlemagne there. It was plastic, but it felt weighty and real, high quality, amazing. And I was sitting there thinking they should probably sell this. It's very, very good. They also had yeah, they should. Like a proper prop sword, I suppose, that the studios use for reference. They also had the collector's edition, which is now, you can check that out now on their website. Again, very expensive. It's 230 euros in the UK, and about so that's about $250, and a good $70 of that is shipping. It's crazy.
Jesus.
It's really expensive, but
wild.
I'm also like thinking, I kind of want it though, because it's like it's a badass storm dwarf on a griffin. It's like iconic Warcraft 3 kind of dwarf unit. I just kind of really want it, but I've already pre-ordered the digital deluxe, which has all the digital stuff in it. So it's like I'd be buying it just for the art book and the statue, which is kind of overkill. But I'm also a sucker, I'm one of them. I was
right
born
there
yesterday.
Next to you.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I might end up getting that. But yeah, it was a cool event. It was really awesome, really fun. And I got to check out the game, and you've been playing it as well at your end, right?
Yep. Yeah, I've been in there, and yeah, definitely want to talk about our hands-on experiences and kind of what that's been like. Now, you said you have 2 interviews that you've got that are going to come out on Windows Central. Is that correct? Okay,
that is correct. I don't have the transcript in front of me because I need to transcribe it, but I can talk about like some of the gist of it from what I can remember anyway.
Yeah.
So like they were group interviews, so like everyone had different sort of agenda and questions they wanted to ask, and one of the people asked like about the sort of dynamic events they've been doing, like Plunderstorm and the MOP remix, and the sort of discourse that they're timed events and they're limited and they're sort of like designed to FOMO people to subscribe for a month, like they're the artificial FOMO stuff and all that kind of that kind of back and forth about that kind of discourse. But Holly was like adamant that these aren't designed around FOMO. It's just that they don't expect people to keep playing them for long periods of time, and obviously with the battle royale you need the players to be in there to actually start a game, and they're made by the Holiday team. So like this is the team that usually works on holidays, like the Easter event and Brewfest and stuff like that. So they've been given access to new technology that allows them to quite quickly spin up these kind of mini games. And Plunderstorm's basically an experiment out of that team. And, once the renown track's completed, they don't expect people to keep playing it. So rather than try and support the game with an extra renown track and try and keep people playing it, they've just decided to make it a limited event, and then they'll do something else instead. And she was like, she looked visibly hurt by the idea that they would want to do something sort of pass artificial FOMO mechanics through to the game. So she looked mortified at that assertion, to be honest. So I believe her, and it did kind of make sense when because we've seen battle royale modes die from lack of players. The Battlefield 5 battle royale mode, I think it was called Firestorm, if I remember correctly, or something like that. That died very quickly because there weren't enough people to get a game going. It was Battle Royales, the hinge on having lots of players in them, right? So that was one topic of discussion. But one thing I brought up to both Maria and Holly, and this is a drum that I've been banging a lot, is like, I really want to see Blizzard and World of Warcraft invest in the new player experience. Because I think it's unhealthy for the game to not have a good new player experience. And right now, I think the new player experience is absolutely awful. I've tried to get people into World of Warcraft many, many, many times, but like doing Exile's Reach is bland and boring, and then going into Battle for Azeroth is also bland and boring. Like in the middle of a big storyline where like you don't feel connected to your character and your race or your faction, in the same way that going through Tearsfall Glades or Ironforge, or, you know, doing that sort of I'm part of the Alliance or I'm part of the Horde quest chain from Cataclysm even. I think that's a better experience for a new player than Battle for Azeroth is. And we talked a little bit about that, and I was kind of teased out of her that Balameth is designed to be a new...
We've talked about this, yes.
My theory that Balameth was a new player starting zone for elves, and that they're going to gradually develop new starting zones for all the different races. But she kind of looked like that wasn't the case.
Oh.
And I was just barking up the wrong tree, kind of. But I don't know. She might just be a really good actress and maybe throw me off the scent. But I could kind of see from a facial expression when I said, that's a new starting zone, right? Right? You know, she didn't sort of laugh it off. She looked like, really? They really think that? So maybe I was completely wrong about that. But she did agree that they do need to invest more in the new player experience. And Maria told me that one of the things they're doing, and I think this was already out there anyway, that new players will now start from Dragonflight instead of Battle for Azeroth. So like they'll get a more contemporary storyline with more updated mechanics and better graphics and all that kind of stuff. And also because there's like a little time skip before Dragonflight, it's not right in the middle of a story. It's like a new contained story. So I do think that'll be a better experience, but it's a far cry from like going to, you know, graduating from Tirisfal Glades and going to Silverpine for the first time, and then on to Hillsbrad, and then to Rathi Highlands, you know, all that, all those nostalgic sort of I'm part of the Forsaken quests, like all those quests all the way through to Hillsbrad all revolve around being a asshole Forsaken and poisoning the Alliance and smacking the Hillsbrad farmers with a shovel, and those quests were really dark, come to think of it. They don't do anything like that anymore. But it made me feel connected to the Forsaken and the Horde. It made me feel invested in the game and my character, and nothing in WoW does that now. And I also talked about, like, you know, how like the Alliance and Horde are all buddy now, and that's got the faction wars kind of robbed the game of some of its identity, I think. And the idea of, you know, faction pride and all that kind of stuff, and that's getting eroded in the name of gameplay mechanics. And I think it is a good thing that Alliance and Horde players can guild and group up, but it seems to be coming at the cost of the game's flavor. And she actually agreed, and she said, like, you are going to see in the future that there will be some of that tension between the Alliance and Horde still there. And Maria Hamilton even said that they haven't closed the door on eventually going back to a full-blown faction war again, you know, having a fifth war in the future, you know. Because individual Horde and Alliance players might work together as mercenaries or whatever, but the broader faction conflicts, you know, might happen regardless, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot of cool stuff that was mentioned and talked about, and I'll release the interviews in full on Monday, probably Monday the 22nd. I don't know if this podcast will go out before then or after, but
it should be about the same time. Yep.
Yeah, it should be about the time, so we can gun for that bit. But yeah, it was a cool event, and then obviously I played the alpha a fair bit.
Right on. And you know, I of course have seen, along with a lot of other folks, other interviews that have already come out and been posted, and having briefly chatted with Holly at BlizzCon, I'm glad that you got the chance to meet with her as well, because she does seem like one of the most genuine humans.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. You can tell how passionate she is for the game, and
yes,
and like she really, really bleeds Blizzard. And I think World of Warcraft desperately needs someone like that running the show now. Honestly, that's why I quite liked Mike Ibarra as well, because I know Mike is a hardcore WoW player, you know, Mythic Raider kind of guy. And I think it's always good when there is someone that into that actual game and not just, you know, the numbers are important too, and obviously the business aspects are really important as well. But I think it's also like having someone who's truly passionate about the game itself is also, you know, a boon for the game overall, right? So, but yeah, having someone like Holly there is just awesome.
Yeah, she's phenomenal, and I know that there was an interview already released with her by Mr. GM. I think that was something that he put out on YouTube. Might have come out on Twitch as well, and she talked about a few things, lessons learned from Dragonflight and Plunderstorm. I thought it was kind of interesting that she admitted that they sort of overplayed their hand in keeping that a secret and hyping up Plunderstorm, and maybe next time they do it a little bit differently. I should have just leaked it, shouldn't I? And then people wouldn't have been. Yeah, but then I probably wouldn't have been invited to this event. That would have been the quickest revocation of an invite probably in the history of Blizzard press tour. But you know, hey, you'd have done it, I guess.
People wouldn't have been overhyped for it then, though. So I would have been doing them a favor, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Oh, there you go. Well, now that you're best friends with Holly, you know, maybe you can work that out. But yeah, she also talked a little bit about in that interview, sort of the flavor of War Within being more casual friendly, and we'll talk about an aspect of that in a little bit. But along with Holly's interview there, I know there were plenty of others. Taliesin and Evitel, they've been all over the place. Maria Hamilton was one of their interviews as well, and they talked about the story and a few other things. And first, I want to ask: did you get a chance? I think I may have already asked you this, but just to refresh, did you get a chance to mix it up with any of our fellow content creators over there? Any of these YouTubers and other people that we see or know? Did you get a chance to chop it up with them at all?
Nope, not at all.
Did you avoid them, or were they just not around?
Everyone was just busy, I think. Yeah. Everyone was just busy focusing on what they had to do, but I didn't recognize anyone, and I doubt anyone recognized me. I wore my Windows Central Mixer hoodie. Do you remember Mixer?
Yes.
So I was a Mixer partner, and I got a Windows Central Mixer hoodie, and I wear it still because it's so comfortable. But I bet people thought I was trying to be anachronistic or ironic. I wasn't. I was just trying to be warm.
It's just trying to be comfortable.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess the part 2 to that question is: did you plug the podcast with anybody? I gotta know.
I did.
Yes.
Plug the podcast.
My man.
I talked to a lot of PR people, and I was like, hey, you know, we got a Warcraft podcast these days, you know.
Podcasts are still a thing, not just streamers.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta bang that drum. Well, God bless you, Jazz. Appreciate that. And let's get to, I think, the biggest thing in my mind anyway that came out of all of this press and all of the alpha so far, which was the big beginning to the story that I bless your heart. You told me that like the night before, because all these embargoes were about to break, what this big event was, and I was like, no way, this can't be true. But it appears, and if you're trying to avoid everything, I mean, good luck, because you can't. This is a known thing. I think we're supposed to know all this stuff. Is that in somehow, some way, Dalaran is destroyed, like completely and utterly destroyed, broken up on the shores of the new land that we are going to. And it also appears that we may lose one of the great Warcraft characters, Khadgar.
Yes,
that to
indeed.
me is some insane shit. Jez, I can't believe we're blowing up another capital city.
I got theories about this.
Let's hear them.
I think they might be leading us along a misdirection.
Oh.
Because in the first area, which is what's it called now?
Khaz-Algar or Adorn or
the
Isle of
continent is called Khaz-Algar, and the starting area is called Isle of Dawn. That's correct.
Yeah.
And the Isle of Dawn is the surface capital of the Earthen,
Yes.
and they're under attack by our old buddies, the Nerubians, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. And it starts off with you digging yourself out of some rubble. And, you know, in the midst of this war, well, this little skirmish between the Nerubians and Jaina and Thrall, right? And a bunch of Dalaran people who are, you know, squashed beneath rubble. However, I got a theory, man. I got a theory about this.
All right.
I don't know if it's all of Dalaran, because the debris field is quite small if it's the entirety of Dalaran. So part of me is wondering, is it just part of Dalaran that got blown off?
Okay.
Because there's only one spire, and there's only a smallish debris field. So maybe it's not the whole of Dalaran that's destroyed, and maybe Blizzard just wants us to think it's all of Dalaran that's destroyed. Because one of the things they did tell me was they're not showing the actual full intro to anyone until launch
Right.
day.
Right.
So that won't be in the alpha, and none of the preceding quests will be in the alpha. The alpha test is literally just for the Isle of Dawn after you've done the starting quests in your faction city, which they're not going to show to anyone. That's going to be completely top secret and encrypted, which I think is really cool, actually.
Yeah.
And also, similarly with Khadgar, otherwise known as Dadgar, affectionately, so in some circles, Dadgar is the only hints that we've got about this is that in some cutscene text, which the cutscenes aren't implemented yet either, but like the cutscenes have descriptions attached to them, so like the devs can get an idea of what's supposed to be going on as they're designing quests and stuff, right? And it says like Thrall and Jaina take a moment to remember Khadgar or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So we haven't exactly seen a body. So
True.
maybe he survives the attack, and they just want us to think he's dead. Maybe. Well, then maybe I could be completely off base, like with Balameth, and maybe in fact we see Khadgar get incinerated into a dust cloud like your boy Varian.
That's it. That is my prevailing theory at the moment, having seen the interviews and read through the articles and now having played through that scenario myself. This very much feels like a self-sacrifice type situation. You know, obviously no idea how this goes down, but it seems like, you know, I did some huge mage, I don't know, self-explosion deal to kill some baddie and try to get people away or some sort of a thing, because that's just, I don't know, you know, maybe everybody's Naifu knifes him, you know, maybe that's what happens, and like, oh shit, and then all hell breaks loose and it explodes. And yeah, I'm buying into that Dalaran is gone and that Khadgar is dead. Now you're right, that is not fully established. There is no body that we've seen. It is a relatively small debris field. Like, there are definitely questions when you look at what is being presented right now. But the way that they talk about it, they sure seem intent on explaining that this was done because they wanted to sort of elevate the stakes. And coming out of Dragonflight, that makes a lot of sense to me, where it was a smaller, more grounded story, which was a little more touchy-feely, feel-good, whatever, and it didn't quite, you know, land with some folks I know. But this then pulls us out of that sort of comfort zone once again, like, oh shit, This is a place we love. This was like a well-fortified joint. There were a lot of, there's some super powerful mages around, and now this place is gone, and we're up against some shit. And if you think about the arc of this story that is being presented to us so far, what seems like a big event right now, and is, if this is it and Dalaran is gone, I have a feeling that this is going to pale in comparison to where we're going. Like this is like one of those things like, oh shit, like, oh, this thing happened. And then when you look back at it, like, yeah, but in comparison to where we're going with probably some big cosmic shit, like this is, I don't know. I think we'll feel better about it as time goes on, but it is a hell of a way to kick us off into the War Within. And yeah, I was very surprised. That was not on my bingo card at all. Because that had never even remotely seemed like something like Dalaran. What? Like, totally away from that. Like, how is that even here? Like, how did that get here? Did we, mage portal that shit out there, or was it there because maybe we got tricked into sending it there? Xal'atath doing some Xal'atath-y shit. Questions remain. But they seem consistent that they wanted to kick it off with something big. They were concerned about the comparisons to Teldrassil, and every time I saw this come up, I heard your maniacal laugh in the back of my brain, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. They're blowing up cities, and Jez is gonna be, this is good for the story. I love this. Fucking alliance. But at least this one's neutral. We're all gonna feel the pain of this one. But get it.
Well, I consider it to be more of an alliance city, but you go off.
I mean, I would claim it. You're not wrong. But I do remember getting kicked out of a lot of attempts to get into the Horde part of that place. But be that as it may, a hell of a way to kick things off, and a lot of questions left to be answered. But we did get a chance to go further than that. As you said, the Isle of Dorn is that first starting zone where we get to jump in, and right away, although there was another cutscene in there that we haven't seen yet, we get introduced to the Earthen, to the Storm Riders, who the new allied race looks badass. Like, it is unbelievable what the art team is putting together for the Earthen, for their customizations, for their armor. Like, it is unreal what we're seeing right now. And so to get introduced to them, to get to know a little bit of what are we walking into? It's another one of these civilizations that's long existed before we ever got there. We're bringing war to their shores once again, or we're interrupting one or joining one, or whatever the case may be. We're now learning about their society, their culture, and so we get placed there, and we're not just there with the Earthen, and we're not just there with Thrall and Jaina. I gotta say it, we're there with my boy. Anduin shows up. He's back. He's got Charlemagne. He's got kind of a weird pointy chin, but that's okay. It's just the way that they did the beard. I'm not gonna dwell on that too long. It's good to see him. He looks distressed, and exactly like you kind of figure. But it is Manduin coming to fruition. I was very excited to see him and begin that journey into this new land and the adventures that we're gonna see there. The features that they have teased, and now we've gotten a piece of it in the alpha. One are the warbands, and two are the delves. Those are the two that I wanted to touch on as well. And with the warbands, this was immediately met with praise. I think at the presentation at BlizzCon, everybody was pretty excited about seeing this. That now, it's not player housing. I know everybody, player housing. I want player housing. Well, we're never gonna get that. Let it go, people. We got a garrison. That's as close as it's gonna get. So give it up. I'm just telling you. And when this comes back later and we get player housing, go ahead and bookmark this one. But it was our first chance now in the alpha to see what that looks like. There's a little scene there, and you at least we're creating characters now on the alpha. You know, we're not porting anything over yet, but having that little group there, and not only like having that whatever visual aesthetic, there's actual purposes for it. Like there are things that you get. There are benefits to these war bands. Including the bank. I think that's the universal thing that's being praised right now is there's a shared warband bank. Your transmog, the way that the transmog is being unlocked, you can, you know, if I'm a plate and I pick up a cloth, that cloth is now available to anybody in my warband that wears cloth. They even added something for first-time quest completions where you get a bonus reward that can be used within your warband. There's a bunch of them, and I'm sure that they'll keep working on these. But what was your first impression of the warbands getting hands on? What did you think of the setup that's been presented to us at this point?
Well, warbands are kind of like, I feel like they're one of the things they're doing with the new philosophy is evergreen features, right? And I feel like the first iteration of warbands is pretty basic overall. Yeah. I mean, the shared transmog pool is great, but we already kind of have a shared transmog pool, kind of. Yeah, we can't unlock plate on a clothy, but it's not a big deal to just relog into a different character to do the run. I don't know. But anyway, so it's a lot of quality of life stuff that you know, we would have hoped to have been there for a while. So a lot of it is just like, this should have been there before, to me, in my cynical view. But the other half of it is the excitement for what could come in the future now. One of the things they have teased is using your warband as followers in dungeons. So that's one thing that could be cool. Obviously, that's not going to extend all the way to Mythic Plus, I doubt, because that'd be, I don't know, heavily trivializing on content, but they've talked about like using them in normals and maybe heroics as well someday, and also in the delves, and we'll talk about delves a bit more in a minute, I suppose. But there's also things they've talked about, like being able to change the background of the warband, because right now it's sort of like a foresty kind of jungly kind of motif, and if you're going for a specific theme for your warband, you know, if you're like me creating a warband made of all the emo classes like Shadow Priest, Warlock, Death Knight, and Demon Hunter, you probably don't want a happy, like, you know, a happy-go-lucky little forest where your warband's hanging out. You probably want something a bit dark and dreary, you know, and a bit more metal. That's so. I think this could evolve into our player housing system someday, maybe, possibly. I know, like, people have been asking for player housing since vanilla. I remember the portal in Stormwind that seemingly went to nowhere, and I think it was originally envisioned as like a instanced area where your player house would sit, similar to how Final Fantasy XI had, like, in the cities there was a portal which you walked through and it took you to your little space you could customize with furniture and stuff like that. I think player housing would be great for the game. just to put it down right now. And one of the things Holly Longdale did talk about in the group interviews was this concept of doubling down on meaningful content for solo players. And I think a lot of these other service games that are out there in the market right now, they do offer that. Where, like in Fallout 76, I was talking about earlier, I can make my own house in Fallout 76, and I can put my virtual coffee table in there, and, you know, my crafting tables and my stash and my banks in there and all this other kind of stuff. Or the players can come and visit my house in Fallout 76. They can even buy things from my vendor machine. Yeah, like I have a vendor machine in Fallout 76. And I will say that Blizzard's survival game had these mechanics too, where you could build your own house and you could make a potion shop and sell potions there in this sort of like, you know, this almost role-playing environment. So I think warbands hopefully will evolve into something that the logical conclusions of warbands evolving is this sort of role-playing fantasy of having your 4 main characters as your little war group of, you know, heroes, and having a, you know, a customizable space where, you know, you can work on cosmetic items for it, and, you know, maybe you, instead of like, you know, like they talked about having a customizable background, what if you could buy the backgrounds from other players, like crafters could make parts of the background for you, and then that evolves into the player housing thing. So there's a lot of potential they could do with this if they have the will and the interest to do so. It's just about whether I'm just not getting ahead of myself and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited for the future of them. But right now, I just, you know, I'm just kind of looking forward to, you know, making my little four-player emo group.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we could have the Warrior Class Hall as a place to hang out, and I could stash a bunch of my plate wearers, or, you know, we could, I don't know, hang out at a variety of locations in Azeroth. I could think of a dozen places that would be amazing just to have. It has the feeling of being infinitely customizable, and I feel like there's some legs here that people are going to like it. People are going to want that. If we're in the age of customization where we're adding every sub patch, every full patch, every opportunity they get, we're adding something for customization. This just screams to me like, let's establish this foundation of this system, see how stable it is, and then just continue to build from there. And I think that's going to be incredibly popular, but probably also a source of consternation where people are not going to get what they want, and they'll see somebody else getting what they want and be like, hey, what about my, you know, dark and dreary, or my heavy metal, or my druidic, or my, you know, fucking mage fantasy, whatever. I could see where some of that pops up, but I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. If you haven't looked too much into this yourselves out there, there is an official post describing what warbands are, what the benefits are, and if you're in the alpha access, you know, you can test out these features. I already submitted my first bug when I was on the warband screen, and I went to change my graphic settings for my monitor, and when I changed them, 4 Naked Tauren showed up in my warband on top of all of my characters. And I don't know that that's supposed to happen. I don't know what kind of party we're supposed to be having over at the War Within, but I let them know and said, hey, you know what, these 4 very large Naked Tauren showed up looking for a party, and it wasn't the time or place, but I appreciated the offer, and I'm just, you know, letting y'all know. So things to work out there. So as I always say, if you get in for these testings, test shit out, click on things, do all of that. So like you mentioned, the other part of this, now I have not gotten into one of these yet, but I know that you got a chance to play through a delve or replay them, or you have some hands-on experience with the delves now, yes?
Yes, I did. I played through delve 3 times when I was playing. And again, it's another one of them very early days, with a lot of potential. And I think the first delve you do is honestly a poor introduction to what they potentially are going to be later on. So, and again, it's alpha, they're tuning things, they'll change things and all that kind of stuff. And also, you know, Holly pointed this out to me, because I put this to Holly. I was like, I tried the first delve. It was very easy. It was brain dead easy, you know. And the first delve kind of integrates the story. So it's like, in the story, one of the dwarfs wants you to. She'll help you, but first she wants you to save her mates who are stuck in a Narub infested mine. And the first delve is this mine. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but It's a mine. And it's almost like doing a wing of Torghast. There's just one level of Torghast where you fight through a bunch of monsters. Maybe there's an event or two. There's some random chests which give you random buffs, temporary buffs. And then there might be some random chests that I've got random bits of loot in or random bits of currency in. Because there is a transmog vendor tied to the delves, and the transmog vendor has some very cool looking items, I must add, including kobold candles that you can wear on your head. So if you want to roleplay a kobold, you'll be doing a bunch of delves, I think. But it was super easy, you know. But at the same time, it was supposed to be the story version of the delve, where you're doing the quest associated with the campaign rather than actually doing the delve as an end game piece of content. And that's what delves are supposed to be. They're supposed to be 5 to 10 minute snackable end game dungeons that can be done solo, and they are going to have difficulty levels. So the first difficulty level, as you might expect, is a story mode difficulty. So I can't remember off the top of my head how many difficulty levels exactly the delves have, but they do go up to the point where they're going to be quite tough. They're going to have affixes and extra hazards and challenges inside them. And also, they'll be able to unlock a track in the Great Vault at the end of the week. So you will be able to get, like higher end epics and tier pieces from them. So I would presume that to get the higher end stuff, there must be a significant amount of challenge attached to that. Because otherwise you'll just be trivializing high-end raiding content, I would have thought. Because like it's not easy to put together a raid team to do heroics, and it's even more difficult to put together a raid team to do mythic raiding. And if you kind of trivializing the rewards and prestige associated with that, they've done it before in the past where they've made it easy to get end game stuff too easy. And I think the game has, lost something as a result of that. But at the same time, you kind of have to thread that needle between like solo players or casual players, of which there are many in World of Warcraft, giving them meaningful rewards and them meaningful things to do as well. Ways they can challenge themselves or not challenge themselves if they don't want to challenge themselves, So Blizzard has made it easier to get tier pieces now with the creation catalyst and things like that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. But I do wonder like how potentially tough these could get. Like, are we talking? Did you ever do the Mage Tower back in the day?
Sure
or
did.
anything like that? Like I never did the Mage Tower. I've never done it. I wasn't playing the game at the time, so but I heard like that was quite tough. Remember correctly?
It was very dependent on skill. For me, most of the time, like as a Fury Warrior, I know that there were people who smashed through it very early, and I had to wait until I had a specific trinket that essentially just let me overpower it, sort of by accident. But it was very dependent on skill. It was a hell of a challenge.
Yeah, like I did the Warlock Green Fire quest when it first came out in Mists of Pandaria, and that was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done in World of Warcraft ever, I think. So if there are those kind of cool challenges that reward like exclusive mogs and, exclusive rewards and titles and all that kind of stuff, I think that's really, really cool potentially.
Yeah.
But I think it's also really cool that if you can bring your warband with you, I think that's really cool too. And also, to make things easier, there is these NPC heroes which join you on a rota. Every week, the NPC hero swaps out to a different hero. The one I played with is Bran Bronzebeard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. God. Bran Bronzebeard, who's somehow survived the events of every game so far.
Oh my god.
And still manages to come back to be irritating every now and then. And he will be customizable as either DPS or a healer. And there's like a little backpack outside every delve where you can customize the NPC that's going to go in there with you. And you can set him to be DPS, or you can set him to be a healer. If you set him to be a healer, like I did, he will throw potions at you to heal you, and he'll whip out ancient archaeological artifacts which he'll heal you and stuff like that. Right? It's pretty cool. And the AI, his AI seems really good. So there's that whole aspect of it too. So yeah, the delves seem like got a lot of potential. I just wonder, like, how many there'll be, like, how varied will they be? Because I did that mine, and it took me about 5 minutes to clear the mine, and there was a little mini boss at the end, like a Wing of Torghast. And much like Torghast, I was quite excited for Torghast when I was reading about it back in the day.
Yeah.
And then it became very repetitive very quickly, and I ended up just hating it. I ended seeing it as a weekly chore, and then Choreghast, yeah, and then people like Blizzard decided, yeah, it's a bit too much of a chore, let's trivialize it, and then it just became kind of pointless because you ended up with so much ash that you didn't really need to do it anymore. So then it just kind of became forgotten, for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
So a question of longevity hangs over delves. Like, how will I feel about doing this mine for the 100th time?
Yes,
how are they going to change it up? Would the layouts change? All that kind of stuff. There's a lot of questions over delves, but again, I think there's a lot of potential if they land it. And we'll see what happens.
That's the biggest question that I have, and it's the comparisons to Torghast, and they know that they're getting them, and I think they've talked about them to some degree. I think they said, and I could be wrong about this, I think they said there's like 12 initially, and then there's like a 13th delve towards the end, and that's like a one boss type situation or something like that. But it is that same Torghast adjacent challenge where, yeah, you can go into, I think it's called the Earthcrawl mines. You can go in there one time and it's one way, and you go in there another time and it's a different kind of challenge. There's different things going on. And so there will be that variability in there, and then across the whole of them should be quite a bit of variance at first. And then it is, how hard is that challenge? How good are the rewards? How long does this really take? And then how long is this actually going to be viable for? Because, yeah, I remember when Shadowlands first fired up, this was alpha, beta, when we first got our look at Torghast, and I was like, this thing's going to be fucking awesome. I was loving it when we first got into it. And then it didn't take all that long. I'm like, no, this ain't the jam that I thought it was. And I think part of it was because they tuned it way the other direction, where it was, in my opinion, it was too hard, when I think if they'd have just made it a little bit easier, I think it would have been more accessible to more people. But understand the challenge, understand why they did it that way to a degree. But the longevity of the delves is something that hangs with me as the biggest question. But again, haven't put hands on it yet. Looking forward to seeing it myself. And what I actually think about it in practice, but I don't know. I like running around with Bran Bronzebeard. I mean, shit, the guy let out an old god, and we're still dealing with all the repercussions for this. So, if I got to put him to work to help pay off that debt, then so be it. We'll do it. But outside of these, getting a chance to see the new land, start making our way through some quests, seeing was it Dagran's new model, who's just about the nerdiest dwarf that ever lived.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be very popular.
Yeah, he seems hilarious, but not at all what you'd expect of a Dark Iron, right? They've really subverted expectations there. But he's half Bronzebeard, I get, or is he a quarter? No, he's a half Bronzebeard, right? So I suppose he's got that scholarly aspect to him, but also he's a fire mage, so he's got the Dark Iron half too. I suppose it'd be interesting to see that character develop. Maybe, I remember seeing Garrosh for the first time, and I think it was Wrath the Lich. No, it wasn't Wrath the Lich King. It was the Burning Crusade. They introduced Garrosh, and I didn't even remember Garrosh from Wrath the Lich King. And then when I did No, from Burning Crusade, sorry. And then I did Wrath of the Lich King, and he's there. He's like in Borean Tundra as one of the main characters, the first characters you meet. And you know, Saurfang, he's under Saurfang's wing and stuff like that. And I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, they're actually making this guy into a character. I would never have expected Garrosh's story arc to go where it did over the years, you know, and now he's like this sort of quite controversial kind of character, but the one thing he's memorable. He is really, really memorable, and I think Blizzard often struggles to make new characters that actually are memorable, and obviously the Jailer being a very obvious mistake. But then you've got Garrosh, which is the other direction, like an example of a very, you know, a very notorious character that some people love, some people hate, but everybody remembers. So I do wonder, like, what's Dagran's story going to be? Is he going to end up, you know, being evil? Is he going to succumb to his Darkeye heritage? Is he going to, you know, seek out the Void and some evil Void artifacts and side with, you know, the Naifu? You know, who knows what could happen? And now, like, when I see these new characters, I think of that stuff. Like, you know, this could be another Garrosh moment where, you know, you just don't know where it could go. So I'm excited to see that he got a new model, and that's cool to see where it'll go from here.
Yeah, you're not investing in that model if there's not something going on. Like that, no. That's not just some generic throwaway model. I mean, that is full on. And on that note, you know, something I've already noticed as I'm playing through the alpha, which has occurred with him, which has occurred with Anduin and our buddy the Earth Speaker, or
Magni.
Frickin' Magni. There we go. When you come across these characters, and I assume many more, see if you can talk to them. See if they have more of the stay a while and listen prompts, because
oh yeah.
I've already seen a bunch of these, and at least with Anduin, one of them already had the voice acting in place, so it was kind of cool to hear some of that already. But the success of that in Dragonflight seems to have also now ported over, where if you're interested, you're probably going to get a chance to hear a lot more about what's going on and some of the lore and some of the history. Like, we were learning more about the Earthen right then and there, because there was kind of an important, I think, set piece being built for our understanding of the Earthen, how they work, how long they've been around, how long they may only be around unless some things happen. Like, it was very interesting to hear all of that from a lore and knowledge story perspective, but you won't get that unless you know, well, I guess you can go on fucking Wowhead and read whatever, but in game, if you want to see it, click on the people, and, you know, they've been pretty good about voice acting all these, and I always enjoy watching these little kind of vignettes anyway. So that was kind of cool to see, but otherwise, that kind of encompasses my hands-on experience with the alpha so far. Did the little bit of intro, fighting off Nerubians with Thrall and Jaina and Anduin, getting to fly over to the new capital city there, meet some Earthen and find out about Khadgar, and now I think I need to meet some other folks or do something where I'm right there in the capital city. So that is my experience with it, hands-on thus far, and I'm doing my best to submit bug reports. But for you, Jez, anything else that is noteworthy from your time in the alpha?
I think the hero talents, I suppose we should touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's I would call that personally the biggest expansion feature in a way, because that's hundreds and hundreds of new abilities and skills they've got to balance, in theory at least. I mean, I was surprised that, although I was surprised at first, but then I was like, oh, that makes sense, because you do unlock all of the hero talents. So like, it's almost like it's less of a choice, really. It's not really like the regular talent tree where you have a bunch of choices to make. I think there's only like 2 choices in every tree to make, really, and it's swap between 2 talents that are basically the same, offer some kind of passive buff to existing ability. I think they're gonna struggle with these a little bit, I think, because I've already seen like a lot of people complain about the way that some of the talents, in much the same way that Covenants did, interfere with people's perception of their class fantasy. Like, if you are, for example, if you're a hunter and you're a marksman hunter, and it just ends up being the case that being a Dark Ranger hunter is the highest DPS spec to go. But you don't like the aesthetic of being a Dark Hunter. Maybe you're a Draenei and you want to be a happy-go-lucky, light-loving Draenei hunter, right? And now you're being asked to pick the Dark Ranger spec by your guild because it's, you know, maybe it's got 5% more extra DPS or whatever. Yeah. The game is more balanced than it ever has been, and there's usually like 5% difference across the board, maybe 6, 7, 8% in some extreme scenarios, but you can pretty much do all content with all specs. Like world first, you know, we had the world first with the feral druid for the first time ever during the world, or the first time in like 10 years or something off the top of my head. Long time since feral druid had competed in the race to world first. So like, I think anything is possible with the current system. But people like love to min-max, and they hate this idea that they've picked the spec that's 5% worse, but then hate they hate being forced to choose between 5% DPS or a compelling aesthetic that they like. And that's what people hated about Covenants. They hated that, you know, maybe the Maldraxi were the best spec to be, but you didn't want to, you wanted to be Revendreth or something. I refused to participate in that. When I played through Shadowlands, I was like, but I had the luxury of doing that, I suppose, because I had a nice guild who didn't really care about it that much. But I did get comments from some of the more elitist DPS type people in my guild who were like, oh, man, what was it now? Night Fae. They were like, oh, Night Fae is better for warlocks because of Soul Rot so much better than whatever you're running, right? And I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, my warlock thinks Soul Rot's dumb, so deal with it. You know, and I wasn't raiding Mythic or anything. I was only raiding Heroic, but I still got those comments occasionally. And it made the choice feel bad. It made the choice like, you know, I'm trying to choose between what I think looks cool and what actually is more powerful, and that's a choice that sucks. So I think they're going to have some trouble with this. If they can't get the balance as close as humanly possible, especially with the specs that are a little bit more aesthetic, you know, like you Dark Ranger to some degree, and some of the other stuff. It doesn't bother me as a warlock because all the warlock specs are amazing. I tried them all out. The Diabolist warlock spec summons a giant pit lord that pops
insane.
out. Yeah, it's crazy. It summons
Show me that footage. I was like, holy shit.
Summons like a pit lord that pops halfway out a portal, burning with fire, and just laser beams the target and then disappears. Like, and then the what's it called now? The Soul Harvester spec is also really cool. It's like Death Note. You get like your own personal Shinigami who pops out every now and then and copies one of your spells, you know, and it looks really cool. It's really aesthetically pleasing, but it's easy to be aesthetically pleasing with Warlock because the theme of the class is that it's all got to be a certain way. But some of the other classes that are maybe a little bit more generic in their looks, like a Hunter, and then they're being asked to like become a Dark Ranger, which is, you know, it's Sylvanus's personal Hunter spec. It's I can see why that might be a headache for some hunters and stuff like that. So I think they've got to be careful with some of that stuff, make sure it's really balanced, and also maybe even like give people the opportunity to use glyphs that can change some of the spells aesthetics maybe. You know, if they are gonna struggle balancing it and stuff. But yeah, we'll see where it all goes. It's early days yet. They've got a lot of stuff to balance and change. Of course they do. And, you know, and if people didn't get so upset about 5% DPS here and there, maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the funny seesaw on this where I was always going to have my Spear of Bastion as a Fury Warrior. That's just how I was going to roll in the Shadowlands, and I didn't give a fuck what the DPS numbers were, and I was never pulling top rank anyway. It didn't matter what I had. It wouldn't have made any difference for me. But you also know that there's going to be balance fixes, and so you're going to spend all this time because you have to, but you're grinding out something you don't want to, and then they change it, and then it's not what it was, and you did all that kind of for nothing. Like, that's a horrible position to be in. So yeah. I'm confident that they will get to a better place this time because they're responding to feedback more swiftly. Like, you can already see that they've made changes. I know the Warrior stuff already got some changes. Honestly, I started rolling as a Slayer spec because you know that I would, and I did, and I'm not really noticing anything that's like all that special. I'm not, so it's not like Raining Blood suddenly starts to play when I execute somebody. It would be awesome. Maybe I can find a mod for that or an add-on if we're still allowed to do that. But until such time as that occurs, yeah, it's probably going to be mostly passive damage for me. So I don't really have much to report on that end. It seems fine. It flows okay. I'm killing stuff and not dying, and that's mostly what I want. But to your point, yeah, the hero talent balance, this is where that wider beta is going to be so important because you're going to get so many people doing so many different things. And the alpha, I almost feel like the alpha, that's your free marketing. That's your people on Twitch streaming the thing and generating interest. That's, you journalism folks, press out there talking about it. And then, people like me that just fucking hanger-ons that got lucky and, I'm in it and getting to see it. But, yeah, that's going to be a big challenge. And, we'll keep talking about it and feeling it out. And, you and I think, have a couple of fairly different perspectives from different classes. So, I think we'll be able to share, some, I don't know, a variety of perspectives here, but we'll keep an eye on it. But if you haven't gotten in, which a lot of people haven't, make sure you go to sign up. They have the beta signups, and this stuff isn't going to last very long. The game's probably going to be out in, I don't know, what do you think, Jez? 6 months?
I think that I've got August in my head for some reason.
That's what I've got. That's, although, I'll get to the next thing real quick. And you did talk about this real quick, is that along with all of this other news, they did release the World of Warcraft, The War Within 20th Anniversary Collector's Edition for pre-order. And it is a beast. Here in the US, it's $180. So it's, it's no joke. Like, you're paying a premium here. And it's the base edition of the game. It's the War Within hardcover art book, a Griffin Rider statue, which it is very glorious, and it's gold, and it's got the big griffin and the dwarf on it with the hammer and the whole, it's very Warcrafty. Like, it is straight from the OG era. A collector's pin featuring Anduin, Alaria, and Thrall, and it looks like the key art. You have all of the Epic Edition stuff, level 70 character boost, 3 days of early access. It's still there, Jez. 30 days of game time, the Storm Rider mount, the attire, which is cool. The Hearthstone, the Deep Dweller's Earth and Hearthstone effect, Squally, Storm Hatchling pet, and a Sandbox Storm Griffin toy. 1,000 traders tenders. Jesus Christ. There's a lot. So, is it expensive? Yeah. Does it look cool? It does. And this is a personal decision that, everybody's going to have to make about it. I am lobbying for this to be a, like a birthday gift. I don't know. I sent it to my wife and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're still looking for birthday gifts coming up here in the next couple months, but this might be all right. But what's funny about this, and the reason why I bring it up, tagged to kind of the last thing we were talking about, is I think the release date that they give for this is December. Like, this will ship in December. It says it will launch with the expansion on or before December 31st, 2024. So it was kind of funny seeing that, and it was like, my wife was like, I thought you said it was coming out in like summer. Like, I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's just a placeholder that they use, but
yeah.
But that is out there. I don't know if I don't get it as a birthday gift or a Father's Day gift, or I don't know, whatever. I'll order the damn thing myself if I still can. Because what did I say at the top of the folks show? The show, folks. I can talk. I'm a whore for all of this stuff. I will buy it. I will do whatever I have to get my clutches on these things, because that is the kind of, I don't know, brain dead WoW apologist that I've become and always been, I suppose. So that's what we're gonna do. That is out there, so if that is of interest to you, hit that. One of the other things that we talked about earlier is the skywriting. Now it's not going to be dragon riding, it's going to be skywriting, and they talked about there's 464 flying mounts that will be skywritable when this launches, and did try that out, and it is pretty cool. I didn't get to fly on my time lost proto drake, but the black proto drake that's the same model, it was pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie, they've done a good job, and it's as cool as you think it is, so that's fun. But there was one other aspect, one last thing that I wanted to get your opinion on, Jez, and that is the arachnophobia mode. And we'd heard about this before, and it is quite a source of controversy, which I think is kind of hilarious. But essentially what they've done is they've created a toggle that you can flip in War Within that will change spider models into crabs. So you think about recent raids or other quests that you've done, and those big spiders and all this kind of thing. They will change them into these crabby crustacean looking things. And for all of the arachnophobic folks out there, this is a godsend. We're like, oh, thank you. Now I'll be able to play this, or I'll be able to do that, and I won't be freaking out about it. And the other side of it is, I cannot believe we're doing this, and this is just more of the, destruction of the game, and all the hue and cry about arachnophobia mode. And listen, I'll be the first to tell you that I don't suffer from this affliction. Now, do I like the bugs in the game? I don't like the bugs in the game. And to me, the sort of crustacean version of this it's all kind of in the same vein. And yeah, I get that feeling to an extent, but it's not enough where I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm never gonna play this. But if it makes the game playable for people and it keeps them interested and having fun, like, who gives a shit? Like, honest to God. Like, to me, one designer, one dev was responsible for this, if I understand it correctly. And they spent the time to do this, and it was important to them. And it seems like there's enough people in the community that's important to. And I know it's like, oh, it's a slippery slope. What are we going to do next? You're not going to be able to stab anybody, and it's just you're going to go around and hug them to death. It's just, all right. I mean, I hear what you're saying. But to me, I don't have a problem with this, Jez. I think this is a harmless addition to the game. I don't have to flip that toggle. I can get the game however I want. So I'm fine with it. But what is your wise and learned take on arachnophobia mode?
It's a big who cares from me. I mean, you don't have to turn it on, so why is it a big deal? If it really does help someone to feel a little bit better playing the game and it doesn't affect you at all, then what's the big deal? I will say this though, I used to have arachnophobia. Quite not to the point where, like some people, where I couldn't even view a cartoon spider. Like, that was fine. But like, if it was a spider in real life, it freaked me out, and I'd have to like run away, leave the room, and be like, oh my God, get my brother to deal with it, But then I got a girlfriend who's in South Germany, in the countryside. And if there's one thing I've learned about living in the countryside, is that there's a lot of bugs that live here. A lot of bugs. And over the years, through exposure therapy, I am no longer afraid of spiders at all. Because they're everywhere here. You could not possibly function in Germany, in South Germany, in the countryside, if you were, particularly afraid of spiders, I think. Because they're everywhere. These little spiders, big ass spiders, all kinds of spiders, right? So because I got used to it now. And another thing, you want to know another thing that's hilarious?
What?
I used to be scared of crabs.
Oh, that I can believe. Oh, they're ugly. They're scary.
When I
They'll
was a
fight
little
you.
kid, yes, but when I was a little kid, I had a traumatic experience with a bunch of crabs.
Oh, no.
I was crab fishing with my dad. I was like 4 years old, and we were crab fishing over a pier in south of England, and we put in these crabs in a bucket.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I was particularly apprehensive about these crabs anyway, because they look creepy and weird, and I'm from the city. Never seen a crab in real life before, especially like one that was crawling around and stuff. And I was sitting down the pier, and I let my guard down for a minute, and that crab was crawling on me. Crab was crawling on me, bro. I was like like 3 or 4 years old.
Oh God.
Yeah. So then I had fits of fear, night terrors about crabs, and nightmares about crabs.
No.
Or when I was a little kid. So I have to ask, what about the people who are afraid of crabs? Because
There it is.
they do exist. Slippery slope,
Oh, slippery slope, bro.
But
What would we change them into then? I don't know. Little
it's funny
stuffed
though, 'cause
animals.
I was looking at the change of spiders into crabs, and I'm sitting there thinking, the crabs look creepier than the spiders to me.
I thought.
Those clacker models and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're creepy with the big eye stalks and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
the big googly eye, and they got like the whole pincer thing going on. Like that
Yeah.
to me, that's way scarier.
But yeah, it doesn't affect me, and it shouldn't affect anyone. If someone likes it and someone wants to use it, then great. I grounded, as far as I'm aware, Microsoft Obsidian survival game Grounded was the first game that put an arachnophobia mode in their game, or at least the first high-profile game that I'm aware of. And it was controversial then too, but I think people could understand it a bit more, because this is a game where you're shrunk down to the size of a spider, thus making the spiders in that game gigantic. And they're right up in your face, and they actually move like spiders. The spiders in Grounded are actually terrifying.
Ugh.
They are absolutely awful, and they go and look at some clips online of the spiders in Grounded. They are horrific, and the way the arachnophobia mode works in that is it turns them into blobs, floating blobs with googly eyes. And I'm sitting there thinking, the arachnophobia mode are scarier than the actual spiders. These floating, biblically accurate orbs with disembodied eyes. They look horrible.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, that's funny. It's important if it's for it's about empathy at the end of the day. And if someone likes the mode and wants to use the mode, and you don't have to use the mode, then it's no big deal.
It's the same as if you think that Linkin Park and Deftones are metal. Let them ride with it. Don't rain on anyone's parade. Just let them fucking enjoy it. That's it. And I guess later on, when there's some sort of bug mount and I need a filter to turn that into another B mount, maybe that's what I'll lobby for if it gets to be too much. But there you go. That is our sort of initial foray into alpha coverage. There is a ton, folks. There's so much out there. Go out on whatever your favorite news website is, whether that be Windows Central, whether that be Icy Veins or Wowhead or MMORPG, MMO Champion, fucking what else is there? Blizzard Watch, all the ones. There's tons out there, and there's going to be more, as this is only the first round. We're only in one zone. We haven't even touched like Hallowfall. We haven't touched the Arathi, which have fucking amazing armor sets coming. Like our team is killing it already, folks. We're right there. There's so much more that's coming. So don't panic. Nobody's missed anything. We're just beginning. So hold on tight. We'll bring you what we can as we do. And of course, our man on the street, Jez, will likely be on the front lines. So that'll be of great help to all of us as well. And in case you forgot, this episode's going to drop on the 22nd of April. And I believe the next day is when season 4 begins. If anybody remembers that season 4 for Dragonflight is about to hit in the midst of all of this mess. We covered it a little bit. You know, it's pretty much what we've seen before. It's a bit of a remix of what we've seen over the course of the expansion. And I only have one question for you, Jez, is have you changed your mind about the way that season 4 is being handled? Is it still not your cup of tea?
I mean, it's kind of nice because my guild's kind of treating it as, you know, we'll try something new. A lot of people are going to main ults for this season. And, you know, because, you know, these are dungeons we've had on farm before, so it won't be such a learning curve. And I'm kind of happy that I get a second chance to get the slime cat mount because I missed it at Shadowlands.
Yes.
So, I mean, but they could have added that. Well, also, I would have preferred a new raid tier, man. Yeah. Of course, I would have preferred a new raid tier. I think everyone would have preferred a new raid tier. You know, I don't know who the raid tier would have been against necessarily, but I kind of feel like they, you know, we had like Razageth, Ridicron, the ice chick, whose name I can't remember right now. Viranoth, that's right. And also, Virak. So it kind of felt like we were gonna, at the time, it felt like we were gonna get 4 tiers facing off against each dragon, and it'd be a self-contained story. But Viranoth survives and becomes a good guy, and Iridicron's gone off to become a big bad in the future, I think.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in this sort of this weird universe where I don't know, where we couldn't have had a 4th tier because of the way the story panned out.
Yeah.
I suppose, I don't know. I can't even think what they could have done. I kind of feel like we should have had a tier where we're fighting the gnolls, man, and the decay gnolls, and there should have been a raid against the last boss of that gnoll dungeon who survives and has gone off somewhere. That kind of felt like a hint that he was going to be an important character. You know, but alas.
The season 4 gnoll raid, that could have been a hit.
Yeah. Or maybe it should have been a season 3 gnoll raid, and then season 4 should have been Balameth with Farak or something.
There you go.
But yeah, well, I don't know. It is what it is. But I'll play it anyway.
Yeah, this does seem to be the way that it's going, and been planned out for a while. And I credit to a friend of the show, Allie, for seeing if I had time and space to raid on their team. And I don't know, she's probably listening to this for the first time going, he hasn't said anything back to me yet. I may not be able to make that timing work, unfortunately, and I'll have to find my own place therein. Is I'm kind of in a weird place right now where our guild, I think our team is done. I don't know exactly what the future holds, and I'm kind of in a weird spot with the game where before the alpha and with Plunderstorm, I haven't engaged a whole lot because I feel a little unmoored, if that makes sense. Just sort of kind of floating out there at the moment without an active team and without a focus. It's the first time I've had that in a decade, so it's kind of weird. So heading into season 4, with it starting, it's kind of made me think about, you know, what are my goals? What do I want to do? Like, what am I interested in right now? And I probably just need to get back to questing. I think that's it. Is I still have quests that I haven't finished, storylines I haven't seen through, and we haven't talked about yet. The season 4, or I guess the overarching Dragonflight mount reward of Tyvon, the bestest boy. And we talked about this when the expansion first launched, how great a character that was, and I now have a gigantic golden retriever puppy that is by no means a puppy, as he's like 65 pounds and he's 7 months old and he's fucking enormous already, and it's probably gonna be 100 plus pounds when he's done, and it looks just like Tyvon. So I'm like, yes, definitely the goodest boy who's chewing up all the fucking furniture in my house. So maybe that's the goal, right? Maybe that's the goal. I want to work on that. But whatever your goals are, season 4 is about to begin. And quickly here, because I want to spend more time on this later on when we have, I think, a bit more time, is we are now already aware of what patch 10.2.7 is going to look like. And it's another kind of big swing in that we're going to be doing, for lack of a better term, a speed run of Mists of Pandaria. They're calling it WoW Remix, Mists of Pandaria, where it's going to be sort of a sped up experience of going through Pandaria, running, I think, level 10 through a 70, and there's going to be like some differences in your power and how kind of the leveling experience works, but it's an opportunity to play through all of that story and that expansion on an accelerated timeline. Mists being one of the great expansions. I was very wrong about that one when it first got announced. I swore that I was going to quit the game over pandas, and I'm really glad that I didn't, because that was a hell of an experience, and I'm so glad that it's something that they're going to continue to treat with a sense of reverence, in that they want people to experience it. But for you, Jez, is this something that catches your interest?
I'm honestly not sure. I'm kind of not the kind of person who likes to backtrack. I have a lot of nostalgia for things like Classic and Wrath, but I never wanted to play through either Classic or Wrath, because I kind of feel like I've been there, done that. I'd rather focus what little time I have on retail and the future and stuff, because that's where the most of the development effort's going. But I don't know. I might do it. I might not do it. I've looked at some of the rewards, and they're not super exciting to me. So I'm kind of 50-50 at the moment. But it depends what my guild does. If my guild decides that, I think my guild said they want to clear all the raids in season 4 first, and then maybe they'll run through Mists then, and do the raids there remix. As well. The remix, yeah. So I'll see. The jury's out.
Yeah, I think there's been a fair amount of excitement amongst the player base so far to see this, and there are going to be some unique rewards. They've talked about previously unreleased color variants of older mounts and a few other things. So we'll see how that comes together. It's also going to be a limited time event. I don't know what that limited amount of time might be at the moment, but something that we have on the horizon, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to it. So, Jez, we're going to do something a little bit different. Close out the show today, because this will be our last episode for April. So we have to do our trading post ratings, because it's what the people clamor for, Jez. It's what they come for. Now, little, I don't know, window into how this show gets made, or what I do, is the way in which I have put this all together in the past is that Blizzard has been so kind as to, when they put out their blog post, they list everything and have photos of everything that show what all the stuff is. And so I can just kind of go one by one and just sight unseen, just sort of like hit it, what my initial impressions are. Maybe somebody listens to this show. Maybe somebody took offense to how I did that. Maybe it's just happenstance. But Jez, they don't do that in the blog posts anymore. All they do is list things and what the names are and how many traders tenders they are, with the exception of 1 or 2 items. So, for only the second time that I'm aware of, since I started doing this show 8 years ago. I need to now log into my live account, and we're just going to do this live on the air. Just going to go through the trading post. I have my character parked out in front of Stormwind. I think I have the volume turned down, so it shouldn't be like a whole thing here interrupting all of this. So I'm going to log in right now, and we're going to do April trading post rating. So here we go. There is a queue. What?
Queue?
A queue? Well, that's
a queue
first.
In current year? That's great.
Damn. Let those sub numbers roll. I guess those charts were correct. It is on the rise. Here it is, Sunday afternoon. We're busy. All right. Loading in, logging in. Here we go. There's an old loading screen. I love Variant on it, but God, does that need an update? There's some long distance folks here. All right, here we go. Loading up the trading post, and right off the jump here, the Dread Wake pirate ship mount, which we have seen this before. This is not necessarily new. But it is a pirate ship. It's got cannons. It's got a big octopus in the front. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of all the piratey stuff, but this is a pretty badass mount. And for 800 traders tenders, I think you know where this is going to go.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Now, mind you, this also falls under the Plunder Storm subsection of the trading post this month. So that was the first. Next one, the Trusty Treasure Trove, which is essentially a treasure chest on your back. You can see jewels and a pearl necklace and a crown peeking out the back. And oh yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
You gotta buy it. In fact, I'm gonna buy it right now for 750 trader tender. My God, look at that. All right, next up, the Ensemble, the Fearless Buccaneers Slops.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
The Slops. That's a terrible name. I don't want to wear anything called the Slops. You could have called that anything else. You probably would have gotten a higher rating. So next up, that was the Fearless Buccaneer Slops for 650 trader tender. Now this is the Swashbuckling Buccaneer Slops for, oh my God, 650 trader tender.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I'm not paying that much for that. Get out of here. Next up, the Crimson Bicorn, which is exactly the kind of like old school, I don't know, British Navy from hundreds of years ago kind of vibe. I mean, this is what we Americans think about these hats. This is how we describe these things. I don't know what to say. But it's got the skull and crossbones on the side, and it's red. What do we think?
I mean, it's all right. Like,
it needs like one more detail. It just needs one more detail. That's what I'm thinking. Next up, though, the classic pirate hat, skull and crossbones. It's black. It's the Dread Admiral's Bicorn for 175 trader tender.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Yeah, you know why? I surprised you on that one. It's facing the wrong direction. It should not be flat in the front. It should have a big wide brim. Like, if I've learned anything from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, this is not the jam. So you can go deep six that one. Next up, the Frenzied Hat of the Deep Blue for 175 traders tenders. This is a shark that is a stuffy, I think, and it is being plopped on your head like a balloon animal. This one might surprise you.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
When I say I love this, I mean it, and I'm literally buying it right now. 175 trader tender. Here we go. This is the first time I've seen this, people. I haven't looked through this before, so here we go. Next one is the Irontide Raiders Bicorn, which is like the Dread Admiral's Bicorn for 175 trader tender, except this one is red and black and has a different design in the front.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It's less offensive. I don't know. Maybe it's the red. It's throwing me off. It doesn't make me as angry as the other one. All right, next up, back to the standard catalog. Now, it looks like this is going to be what we can expect, regular rotation kind of stuff. The Ensemble of the Spring Revelers Lavender Collection. Hit it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Now listen, this is a well-constructed sun hat dress combo. Now this is not the kind of thing that I would personally wear or would have on my character, but there is a level of detail on this that is actually pretty damn good. Like if you look closely at this this lavender dress, like the details of the flowers and the art that they put together on this, it's actually pretty good. Like I gotta hand it to them for 500 trader tender. I think that's a great deal for an ensemble. Next up, oh yeah, the Savage Blue Battle Turtle. Enough said.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Look at this badass looking thing. It's a high detail turtle, and it's all horned, and it's got big cannons, and they're on fire. And this thing is fantastic. This is one of the best mounts they've ever had in this dang thing. All right, next up, the Spring Revelers Lavender Apparel. This is another ensemble set. This is the sort of, I guess, classically male version. And here we go.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
Nah, it's okay. The details, they are a little higher, but you know, it's not as good as the other one. Next up, the Envenomed Gut Ripper. This is a one-handed dagger, 300 trader tender, and oh hell no!
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It's got eyeballs hanging off of it that are like fell green eyeballs hanging off of, like, I don't know, retina strands. Oh, that's nasty, Jez. That is just
Looks
nasty.
good.
I don't know what's going on. That is, oof. There's no way. Get out of here. Next up, the Spring Revelers Dandelion Sun Hat.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It's pretty non-offensive. I mean, you know, it's a big wide sun hat. I have something similar I wear in the yard, just with no flower and a different strap holding it onto my head. All right, next up, the War Hammer of Hubris.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
This is a phenomenal piece of weaponry right here. A two-handed mace for 300 trader tenders, so it's even a good deal. And it's like it's almost like a I don't know, like a demon head with a big rock in its mouth, like going through its head. Like it looks like it's trying to swallow a giant crystal and it's coming out the back of its head. This is a great piece right here. You should definitely get this into your collection. Next up, the Assassin's Bandolier, 250 trader tender.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
I'm sure this is good for people who wear bandoliers, but you know, it's small. It's got daggers and vials, and yeah, let it rip. Next up, oh my goodness! All right, I gave it away. The Emerald Guardian's Longbow for 250 trader tenders, and this comes with the sort of the flavor text here. The Emerald Dream is the charge of the Green Dragons. We will defend it no matter the cost. According to Marithra, this is a bow.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
The dragony, green dragony detail in this thing is insane. This is beautiful. This is actually a legitimately beautiful piece of craftsmanship here in the trading post. Wow, that is stupendous. Definitely ought to buy that one. Next up, Helm of the Stout. My God, this is a good month.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Apparently it used to belong to somebody by the name of Olaf. And it's a big, horned, classic, barbarian-esque helm that everyone should have in their collection. Next up, the Blade Masters Violet Stones. We've seen these before. Big stones go around your neck. This one's violet color for 200 trader tender.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
These are nice. I like these. They're okay. Not offensive. It's all good. And next up, the Delicate Silk Parasol, which will allow you to float safely the next time that you fall.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
I've heard people like them. And, you know, if it's your jam, let it rip. Next up, the Spring Revelers Dandelion Dress.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It doesn't get full marks because it doesn't come with a hat, Jez. It's got to have the hat. If it doesn't have the hat, it doesn't get the rating. Next up, the Codex of Classic Conjurations. That is some alliteration there, folks. This is an offhand, looks sort of like a classic paladin librum, like a book that you would hold and get spells out of. And yeah, let's hit it. 175 trader tender. Oh, jeez.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
That's a good looking piece right there. All right, next up, the Champions Jade Cleaver, 150 trader tender for a two-handed polearm.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Oh my God, you put that up next to that bow I was just drooling over a second ago. That is not impressive. Next up, the Gossamer Emerald Gown.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It doesn't cover my man titties, Jez, and frankly, I need that nip coverage. And if you can't give it to me, then I can't give it a good rating. Next up, Mantle of the Scholarly Raven for 150 trader tender.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It's like missing something. I think the eyes need to be on fire, but it looks like a couple of like raven heads on your shoulder. They're cool, but it just needs just a little bit touch more. Okay. The Spring Revelers Dandelion attire. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It's a yellow shirt with some flowers. Let's go. Classic Violet Tabard.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Oh, I like that one. That's a good one. That's a beautiful color and a nice cut. Next up, oh my goodness, the Vagabonds Camo Threads Ensemble. Well, Jez, as an American, I only have one choice when it comes to anything that is camo.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
We tell you that our colors are red, white, and blue, but really the true colors of this nation are camouflage. And that's just how that goes. I'll give that rating for both the Wanderers camo trappings and the Vagabonds camo threads. I will buy them both. Next up is the Gilded Emerald Long Cloak.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
Good cost at 100, but it needs to go to all the way down to the ankles. It needs to be longer. The Gloves of the Violent Gala.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
I mean, they're yellow. I mean, yellow. They are violet gloves. That's it. Next up, Trader's Violet Sarong.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
Yeah, it's okay. Needs more detail. Oh my goodness, for 75 trader tender, the Apprentice's Twisted Crook.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Jazz, what am I looking at here? It's a stick. You're
Yeah,
selling
that's
me a
good.
stick.
I like that.
You're selling me a stick. I can go outside and get that for free. Used to have to cut my own to get beat with. I mean, you could go outside and find those on any tree. Next up, the Deforester's Hatchet, 75 trader tender for a one-handed axe.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
They look sharp and they look like they have a good grip, but boy, they are pretty basic. Next up, we have two shoulder capes, the Dueler's Lively, which is green, and the Dueler's Violet, which are purple. Take them together.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
You know, I need blue, Jez. I need the Arthas ones. I need that fantasy. Not giving it to me. It must give it to me. All right, last up, we'll take the Spring Revelers Dandelion pants, boots, belt, all together.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
And there you go. That is what is in the shop as of right now. Those are our those are our ratings for that. But last, there is one last final thing before we close out, and that is the bonus reward, which is Aura, which is a pet, and it looks like a duck that is wearing a flower as a hat, and it's holding a little wand. It's a little magical baby duck. And here we go.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's there than me. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
There you go. Got them all. Got them all in. God damn, that was a long list this month. Those are our ratings. They don't have to be yours. We get out there. Enjoy your trading post. Got 9 days left of this one, and then God only knows what we're going to see in May. All right. I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those who don't already know, where can the good people find you on the internet, Jez?
I am on Twitter at JezCorden, JZCorden, and also on windowscentral.com/gaming, and also XB2 podcast, Xbox 2 TWO, on Randall Thor 19's channel on YouTube, and I'm also here every 2 weeks, roughly, talking about all things WoW with my good buddy Zerka.
There it is. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our bonus roll page. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources or unshackledfury.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.